Thank you for coming to our keynote address for our conference today, and it is my pleasure to introduce Miss Elizabeth Fitch. She's the Academic Dean at Motlow State Community College in Tennessee, and I'm going to let her tell more about herself. So welcome, Elizabeth.
All right, thank you. I'm honored to be here to speak at your conference. I do work at Motlow State Community College. We have 4 campuses. I'm the academic dean of the Smyrna campus, which is our largest campus. Overall, we have around 6,000 students, with having about 3,000 of those at the Smyrna campus. So we're one county. Rutherford County is our surface area for the Smyrna campus. We've got 11 total, but in the one county that we serve in Smyrna, it has the same number of population as the other 10 counties combined. So a big service area for just Rutherford County. So I'm going to go ahead and well, I did want to tell you though that I'm from Kentucky. So I'm from Owensboro, Kentucky. So I know, Moonlight Barbecue, probably have eaten there. If you've been to Owensboro, if you haven't, you need to go there, because that's like we brag that it's the best place to have barbecue in the world. And we win that argument. I don't care where you eat barbecue. If we're from Owensboro, we're going to argue that till we die, that it's the best. Bill Clinton ate there. We always have to brag about that. There's pictures of him on the wall. So I'm very familiar with Kentucky, and it's good to be home in a way, because Paducah actually feels very, very, very familiar to Owensboro. It's a lot the same. So let me go ahead and get started. I know you've read the title, so I won't read it to you. We'll open with kind of a joke here. Who's counting, right? Well, when I went to college, and I would guess that when you went to college, that really it was based on enrollment numbers. Everything was about enrollment. If you were increasing enrollment, good for you. The enrollment's going up. And that was the case pretty much the whole time I've been at Motlow until pretty recently, when the funding formula changed. And the funding formulas are changing for colleges across the United States. A lot of states have already done this. If they haven't, they're going to get ready. We're now looking at performance, outcomes, who's counting. And a lot of the initiatives that we're all experiencing, whether you're faculty or in administration, or whether you're a staff member as a coach, a lot of what we're experiencing is we're counting. We're counting what's going on. How many students are actually getting to the finish line? It's not just about enrollment anymore. And so I'm going to talk to you about several things. I'm going to tell you Motlow's story since I've been there. I've been at the college for 12 years. The first year as an adjunct professor, the next 9 years as a full-time biology professor, achieving tenure, and then the last 2 years as the dean of the Smyrna campus, our fastest growing campus. Motlow College is the fastest growing community college in Tennessee. The biggest reason for that is our location. The Smyrna campus is just south of Nashville. A lot of development, a lot of industry, a lot of growth. And so with that, it's like real estate. Location, location, location is a lot of it. And there's some other things contributing to it that I'll discuss in a little bit. I also want to point out the academic mindset. You're probably familiar with academic mindset, but if you're not, I'm going to do just a quick review on what it is and talk about how that plays into our CoRec models, how it's playing into different initiatives that we're going to be using, and how that's shifting. I'll talk to you about the Tennessee initiatives, because a lot of what we've experienced at Motlow is because of the bigger picture, the state initiatives from the governor, and how we're being kind of pushed in some directions, not always willingly. I'm going to talk to you about the perspective of the faculty and staff that have worked there and real time of what we've experienced. I'm going to share with you retention and progression data for our fully implemented CoRec models. Fully implemented. It's not just options, not just pilots, it is full-on CoRec model. Students can come to Motlow State Community College regardless of their ACT score. You meet the benchmark, you take college classes. If you don't, CoRec. There's no minimum requirement. I know some of your faces are like, oh my God. And that's exactly how we felt too when this happened. But I've got 2 years of data that I'll share with you before completely going into this, and I'll share with you a couple of years after, because now it's spring 2018 and this happened in fall 2015, full implementation of the CoRec model. When I get done with the data, I'm going to point out how the CoRec model is actually supporting a growth mindset. A growth mindset, and I'll tell you exactly how when we get there. And I'm going to give you some final thoughts for improving student success, just to kind of wrap it all up, because that's in the end why we're all here. We're trying to make sure that these students are successful. It's the right thing to do, but it also is affecting our funding in a lot of cases in what we're doing. All right, so we have to acknowledge why students leave. Why are they leaving college? And a lot of the times it's non-cognitive reasons. It can be academic reasons, but a lot of times it's non-cognitive reasons. And so that's kind of new in higher ed, that we're having to focus on all this stuff that we didn't have to focus on before. Even in the time that I've been a professor, and I hear the more seasoned professors that have been there, they're like, this is ridiculous. We never had to do all of this. Everything is different. We just taught the class. You either passed it or you didn't. Didn't have to worry about it. But the reasons they're leaving we're having to focus on. It could be adjustment difficulties in college, a lack of goals, which goes hand in hand with a lack of commitment. If you go to college and you don't know why you're there, or you're just there because somebody told you to go to college, it's hard to finish that. If you don't have a goal, a major picked, then you don't really have a clear pathway on how to get there. You're not going to be committed to it. So lack of goals and lack of commitment. Finances are an issue, and I'll talk to you in a little bit about Tennessee Promise. You've probably heard about it, which makes college tuition free for all high school graduates at community colleges. Free. So you think, well, what's the financial issue? There's other costs associated, though. There's textbook costs. There might be gasoline costs. Now there could be daycare costs for your children. There are still costs associated with college, so finances are still something that they're facing. Lack of social connections and isolation. If they don't feel part of a group, they're not going to stay. Nobody wants to stay with a group of people that they don't feel they belong to. So that's something that would cause them to leave. Low ability or underprepared. First generation college student. There's pressures there too. Well, are you getting above your raising? What are you doing going to college? Why don't you just work in the factory like I did? I told you I grew up in Owensboro, and I'm the youngest of 7 children. Neither one of my parents had a college degree. When I was in middle school, my mom went to community college and became a respiratory therapist. My father was a truck driver, though. And I do remember, though, when I went to college, I was desperate to go to college, really because I was desperate to not be in poverty anymore. We were on food stamps, and times were hard. I was hungry as a child a lot of times, and it's not because my parents didn't work. My dad worked very hard, but raise 7 children and see how well you do when you don't have a college education. And so as I observed other people and how were they making it, I was trying to figure this out. How do these people have that big nice house, and how do they have all this food? I realized the key was education, so I was just hell-bent on getting an education as a child. But there were pressures at home that are actually still kind of there sometimes. You're doing this higher ed thing, you think you're better than us? So students face that. And that's something maybe some of us can empathize with. A lack of encouragement or support. If they don't have that, it's almost impossible to succeed at a goal if you don't have somebody supporting you. If you don't have family support or support of friends, when you get discouraged, who picks you up? And we're having to create that in the college setting now, which is new. We're having to be their cheerleaders. I don't know where Britta is. Is she in here? But as I listened to her speak earlier, she really cares about the students that she interacts with and that they're successful. You can tell that she means it. And Lori does too. Could tell when it's Lori, right? You were speaking. They care, and students need that. They need somebody to cheerlead them on. Absence of significant interactions with faculty and staff. Research indicates if they don't have significant interactions, and that's not just going to class and listening to me drone on about, the Krebs cycle. That doesn't work. They need significant interactions with faculty and staff to be successful. Transportation issues, food insecurity. This is new. If you haven't seen this one already, you're going to see this. Food insecurity. Students who are hungry. They don't have money for food. We're seeing more of this with Tennessee Promise. Okay, everybody gets to come to college. It doesn't matter what your ACT score is. Open the floodgates. Yes, that's another reason our enrollment is growing like crazy, because we're letting everyone in. But I've literally had students come to my office on the second day of Dean in 2016. I'm swirling, if you've ever taken a new position, and I'm sure you have, there's some days or weeks or months where You are trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing. There's new things coming your way. You are trying to get your feet planted. It's kind of a whirlwind, at least it was for me, in taking this position of new things. I mean, I'll go from the classroom to handling all the student complaints, handling all the grade appeals, handling all the issues and problems of the campus, making sure we have a schedule. And I'm just, spinning, trying to figure out all this stuff. I had a student come by, and she said, and I hadn't moved my office yet, so they can't really get to me as easily right now, but at that time it was right where they could come straight to me. And she's like, hey, I'm in a developmental math class. I just failed the first set of tests on it. I need somebody to help me. I said, okay, we got a student success center. We got some coaches. We got a math lab. We will set you up with that. I'm still trying to answer some emails. I'm like, let me just, let me point you in the right direction. I'll walk you over there. She said, no, I don't understand why I have to take this class. I don't, and I just failed it. I said, okay, that's fine. I'll take you to a coach. We'll get you in the math lab. They'll help you. They'll get you what you need. So I'm just trying to be traffic director right now because I'm spinning. I'm too focused on myself. She said, you don't understand. And her eyes welled up with tears. And she said, I have a 1.5-year-old baby. I'm being abused by my boyfriend, and I'm hungry. And that really blew me away. And she said, and you're the dean. Can't you help me? And that was a very sobering moment for me. I felt like I got hit in the face the second day of dean, where I realized, wow, you can't always just traffic direct them where they need to go. At that moment, she needed me. And it didn't matter what my role was at the college. She needed me to care about her at that moment. And so I said, okay, sit down. And I spent an hour and a half with her, talking with her about what she needed to do. And then, I followed up with her for some sessions after that, about an hour and a half each, even though I didn't have time. But that was the most important thing I could do at that moment, was give her my time. And she is now in our nursing program and looking towards graduating. She went from the developmental math class, she didn't understand why she needed to take that, to she's now about to achieve her goal, which is all she wanted to do, was to be able to provide for her child. And so that you have an impact on people whether you realize it or not. And the reasons they are leaving are things that I wasn't used to facing that. You're probably not used to facing some of these issues. The other thing at play is the academic mindset. Maybe you're familiar with this. You probably are, but it's just a reminder. A lot of our students have two types of mindset: a fixed mindset, or a lot of our students actually, now, a lot of them. I'm not good at math. Stop trying to get me to take math. I'm not good at math. I can't do it. It doesn't matter if I practice the problems. It doesn't matter if I go to the tutoring center. I'm not good at it. I'm just not. I'm not good at science. Insert whatever topic, but it's usually, generally, math and science are the ones that they're telling you they're not good at. Or they'll say, I'm not good at writing. I can't write anything. I can't write a paper. They avoid challenges. They give up easily. They view effort as fruitless. And they ignore useful feedback. I don't need to go to the writing lab. I don't need to go to the tutoring center because it doesn't matter. I'm trying to tell you people I can't do this. I don't even know why I'm here. I've heard them say that. I don't even know why I'm here. They feel threatened by the success of others. If a student gets an A in a class and they see them celebrating that, they automatically think, I knew it, I'm dumb. There's no way I got an F. I got an F on this paper. They got an A, they're smart, I'm dumb. Fixed mindset. Growth mindset is what everybody in this room is. You wouldn't be where you are if you were a fixed mindset still. You might have been that at some point in your life, but your growth mindset now, you can be shifted over. They think, I can learn anything through enough effort. I think that to a fault sometimes. I'm a complete overachiever to the point that I kill myself trying to overachieve things and make them perfect. I'm a perfectionist, I'll say it. I feel like I'm in a support group right now. I'm a perfectionist. And I try to recover from that. But they embrace challenges. They persist in the face of setbacks. They view efforts as a path to success. They learn from criticism. This is the student that if you give them a C, they're in your office asking why did I get a C? So-and-so over there's got an A on their paper. I saw their paper. I don't see why their paper's any better than my paper. Why didn't I get an A on the paper? Or they could be super overachievers. Like I'll admit I was in graduate school. I got a 95. Why did I get a 95? Why isn't it 100? Right? Those students. Those are the ones in that category. They find lessons and inspiration in the success of others. So what we're trying to do, big picture here, is shift students from fixed mindset to growth mindset. And how do you do that? And a lot of us aren't used to this. We've never been asked to do this before, especially if you've been in higher ed for a long time. It's not something we're familiar with. And it's scratchy. It's uncomfortable sometimes trying to figure this out. A lot of times we feel like we're just trying to figure it out. Well, all this stuff is good, and we could agree, yes, it's good to get students to go to the, growth mindset, but there's also initiatives, which is just like the fire under your rear end, right, that causes you to actually put things into action. We could all agree that a lot of things need to happen, but until you have initiatives that push you there, you may not do it. So initiatives in Tennessee. One is our funding formula changed. When I first started at Motlow, again, enrollment was our funding. Now our funding is based on first-time, full-time freshmen graduating in exactly 4 semesters. First-time, full-time freshmen graduating in exactly 4 semesters. If they have to take another semester, we don't get to count them as success. If they don't start as full-time, we don't get to count them as success. Furthermore, it's a 3-year average. So you could have a really good year and a really bad year, and then you have to average that. It's actually a 3-year, and the average shifts every 3 years as you add a year. Does that make sense? So that kind of scared us all at Motlow. We're like, whoa, all right, hold on a second. Fastest growing college in Tennessee, it's because of our location. They're coming in. I don't know, we're not really sure how many are finishing here now. Our funding, 100% of our funding, 100% of our funding based on that. We had implemented the Tennessee transfer pathway in fall 2009. That's just if they get an associate's degree at the college, they can seamlessly move to the 4-year institution in Tennessee and start as a junior. So we had tried to help them with completing degrees with that. But this was really a game changer. And then Drive to 55. You guys heard of Drive to 55? Governor Haslam's initiative. So 13% of Tennessee has or had, at the time this was implemented in 2014, that's when it was announced, 13% of the state had a college degree or certificate. 13%. So Governor Haslam's like, okay, 55% of the state needs to have a degree by 2025. And we all know in higher ed, that's like lightning speed, right? Oh, wait a second. This is going to begin in 2015. And so you're saying we have 10 years for the entire state to reach 55% degreed. Wow. Yeah. That was our emotions. We're like, this, okay. And on top of it, here's another present. Tennessee Promise, fall 2015, every high school graduate in the state of Tennessee will be able to go to community college for free as long as they maintain full-time status, 12 hours, a certain GPA, so they got to keep their grades up. They got to maintain full-time. And ACT scores, there's none too low. You can imagine what the water cooler talk was at Motlow, right? They're going to kill us. This is it. We're going to implode. We're done. We're all getting laid off in a couple years. There's no way. Our funding formula, now they're letting everybody in. The ACT scores, there's no score too low. I was asking Megan earlier, do you guys have a minimum on the ACT? And I think you said 12. No ACT score is too low in Tennessee. You can go to college. A lot of cynicism on campus. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell you guys the true story. I was one of them. I was a faculty member at the time. We were all like, this is not going to be good. We were like, okay, well, so-and-so has seniority, so they'll probably still have a job. So-and-so's new. They're gone. They're dead. They'll be looking for a job next year. This is not going to go well. Tennessee Reconnect is an extension of this. It's going into effect this fall. And all Tennessee residents without a degree, adults, will be free college tuition up to 6 hours beginning this fall. No ACT score too low. So part of us trying to address how we're going to get them out in time, how we're going to meet this first-time full-time freshman getting finished in 2 years, is examining the prerequisite versus this new idea corequisite model. So we were doing the prerequisite model before fall 2015, before Tennessee Promise. And as we all know, it's actually pretty poor retention, pretty poor progression. And students here, you're too dumb to take college classes. That's not what we say to them, but we all know there's things we say to people and things that they hear, right? We would say, you know, your score was not that great on the ACT or AccuPlacer, that's what we use. We're going to need you to take this developmental course, which we now call learning support, but we're going to need you to take a developmental course. And the student just hears, I didn't score well. They hear you saying, you're an idiot. You need to take this class until you're ready, because obviously you're not ready to take college classes. There's no way you're going to succeed. And if we're telling them there's no way they're going to succeed in college, do you think they're going to believe that they succeed in college? I mean, they're coming to us to take college classes, but we're telling them there's no way. And we found out that when they got through the developmental requirements, they actually didn't take the college class right away. They'd get through, some of the ones that made it through developmental math would not take the college level math class. They'd wait until the very last semester and then they'd inevitably fail it. They weren't successful in that. So this obviously wasn't working. So we began piloting corequisite courses in fall 2014. We started with reading and writing with the TBR, which is Tennessee Board of Regents Revitalization Grant. So we started piloting those. Math didn't get that grant, but we began to pilot math course 0810 in 2015, spring 2015. And that challenged the thought, they're not ready for college classes. They will never succeed. Can't tell you how many faculty members, I'm not going to tell you whether or not I was one of them, said, this ain't going to work. This just isn't going to work. It's not going to work. They're not ready. But we monitored the success data, and it wasn't just good results, it was incredible results. Incredible results, how well the students began doing. So new considerations. It really all came to, fall 2015 is when the rubber hits the road. This is when we are under pressure. That egg right there, we were all watching to see when we were going to implode on ourselves. Like, I again can tell you there was a tremendous amount of cynicism. Because here's what we're facing, Tennessee Promise. Here they come. They will have to be full-time, which means all of them will be first-time full-time freshmen. You thought about that? All of them are first-time full-time freshmen. All of them are going to count in our funding. And the ACT score doesn't matter now. So there's that we're looking at. We had the full implementation of our corequisite model in fall 2015. We just jumped in the water. We just jumped. Go for it. We're not holding back. We got to do something. We went full on. No more prerequisites. You just sign up for the corequisite course that you need. We also hired completion coaches. Now, I heard you all talking about your coaches. Ours are a little different, and we were the first in the state of Tennessee. Motlow was the first to do this. Our coaches are full-time employees. We started with 8. We have 9 now, but in fall 2015 there were 8. And they focus primarily on the reason students leave, that opening slide. Now, at orientation, the students meet their coach. They're assigned to a coach. We make a graduation plan for them from start to finish. Here's your map. Pick a degree. Here's your map. Here's how you're going to get done in 2 years. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you do this. If you can't find daycare, come see me. If you don't have enough food to eat, come see me. If you have any problems that are going to keep you from finishing at all, come see me. That's what our coaches do. They build a relationship right from the start with the students. And the students know they're there for them. We have a writing center and math labs which offer tutoring, and we increase those efforts on every campus as well. So our new corequisite requirements are listed on the right there. We had Math 1003, which is the college course paired with now the corequisite Math 0810. That was the setup in fall 2015, and then we added some more fall 2016. If you needed Math 1010 for your major, then you'd sign up for Math 0101. If you needed Math 1530, you take 0530. If you needed Math 1630 for your major, you take 0630. For English 1010, the students would be required to take the Learning Support 0810 version, which is Learning Support Writing. It has embedded tutors, so you have an instructor, and then additionally in the room you have an embedded tutor in the room which focuses specifically on helping them write their papers and focus on their weaknesses. And all these classes are capped at 24. So you have 2 people in that room working specifically on the writing. We also implemented our first year experience course, which we co-rect with the Learning Support Reading. And that teaches them the skills that they need to be successful in college while they're brushing up on their reading skills. We just this fall are now requiring first year experience for all of our learning support students, not just the reading. All of them are now required, which caused us to have to add a tremendous amount of sections. I mean, it's tremendous. When you start looking at implementing this, what happens? We had to add probably 30 sections of FYE just at the Smyrna campus to accommodate all of the students that needed it. Additional academic intervention techniques. So it wasn't just Corequisite Model that we're now implementing. We are encouraging, not forcing, but highly encouraging them to pick a major right out as soon as they get here. And that happens with our academic advisors. Now our faculty are still serving as academic advisors. It's a 2-tiered model. The coaches have them the first year, and then the faculty have them the second year on the academic advising. So we're saying pick a major because we know that they will be more likely to succeed if they have a major. So as soon as possible, don't wait. Because remember, we said you can't achieve a goal if you don't have commitment to what the goal is. We implemented early academic alerts. And so faculty are encouraged to submit these for every course. And early because exams oftentimes don't happen until the 4th or 5th week. But you may notice as a faculty member, you can usually tell they're not going to do well. They're not going to do well. You haven't even given the test yet, but you're up there in front of the room and you're like, not going to make it, playing with their phone all the time, sleeping during class. They're late every time, they're leaving early. You can just tell as a faculty member when you've been doing it for a while. Sometimes I'm surprised. I still teach a class. I try to still teach to stay in the trenches, but you can tell. And so we'll refer those students to their completion coach and or tutors. The early academic alert is filled out in the banner system, goes straight to their academic coach, or sorry, to their completion coach, and then the coach gets it, reaches out to them. Hey, you just got an alert from your professor. Do you need anything from me? And so those are the examples that we all know: turning in late, incomplete assignments, missing class, coming late, not participating, not taking notes, or even if they're frequently tired or chemically altered during class, you can kind of tell when that's happening too. They haven't taken a test yet, but you know this is probably not going to go well. And so we intervene that way. So all of these changes in Tennessee, Drive to 55, Tennessee Promise, now we're implementing the Corequisite Model full on. So there's a press release. And it was in the Chronicle of Higher Education. I've got a link here. If we end up sharing the presentation, or I can share the link in the least so people can look at it. Here's a screenshot of that article. It's talking about Tennessee. One state's big shift away from remedial courses leaves questions for colleges everywhere. Made the national news. We were jumping in the water. Half the article, first half, some interviews with a couple of Motlow students. They're excited. Students love this. They're not being put into remedial developmental courses where the dumb kids go. That's how they feel. I know that's not how we intend it, but that's how they feel. I'm being put over here with the dumb kids. Now you can take the college class. So the first half of the article is quite a bit of praise for our bravery. The second half of the article is quite a bit of cynicism. These people they're shooting themselves. They're going to die. There's no way. They're implementing something that's still being tested. They're really taking a risk here. And that cynicism, I can tell you, is happening within Motlow too. In fact, Brian and I were talking, and Brian's our Learning Support Director at Motlow. He's here today, and his wife Veronica is a completion coach. So if you want to talk to either of them about their roles after I'm done speaking, they'll be happy to speak with you. But he and I were talking the other day, and our adjunct instructors were the ones who were the most supportive. Sure, what do you need me to teach? Awesome, let's go. Full-time faculty, and I was one of them, so I can say it, we were all kind of like, we're dead. We're going to get laid off. This is not going to work. We're going to die. So what did happen? The nice thing is it's spring 2018, so I can fast forward you to what has actually happened, and I can show you some data. It's not just what I think about it or what any of those faculty members think about it, whether they like it or not. It's what are we actually seeing in data, and that's why I love science. I'm a science professor, because data tells a story, and it's usually unbiased if you do it right. So I'll share with you retention. Did we keep them longer? Remember, that's our funding. Progression. Did they succeed in the college class that we just opened the door on and let them in? Did they? And we're going to compare the averages before and after our full implementation. So first, let's look at the retention data. Did we retain them longer with the new Corequisite model? The blue graph shows you the average before implementation, fall 12 to fall 14 academic years. And then the orange shows you fall 15 to fall 16 average. The reason I don't have this year's data is this year's not complete. We're only in spring 2018. I don't have complete data to share with you for this year. But looking at that data, you can see our fall to spring carryover increased on average after full implementation. Our fall to fall increased. These are averages over the years. I can tell you from looking at each individual year, it's going up. But I chose to present it in averages for you, but it is going up. This is for developmental math, so I'm going to break it out by group here. So this is the developmental, or what we now actually call learning support, but it was previously called developmental. Developmental writing retention, fall to spring, you can see an increase from 65.9% to 71.1%, and then 46.9% from fall to fall to 48.8%. This is just retention. This is not success data yet. Okay, this is just retention. Are they staying? I haven't shared with you how they did in the classes yet. For reading, 68.9 to 73.8 after full implementation, fall to spring, and then fall to fall we went from 47.5 to 50.5. Let's look at how they did in the college classes. Okay. Oh my goodness. When we required them to take developmental English, this is the English chart, so developmental writing or learning support writing, fall 12 to fall 14, of those, this is of those that actually finished the remedial or developmental course, only 32% of them succeeded in English 1010. So the whole reason we did that was to get them ready for English 1010, and only 32% of them succeeded in English 1010. Are you following me? So all this effort to make sure you're ready, that's all. When we just let them sign up for English 1010 and correct it with the learning support writing, 73% of them passed English 1010. And you know what else that we're seeing that is really weird? They're failing the developmental course and passing the college class. It's happening. They are actually, I'm going to say that again, there's a lot of them who are failing the developmental version of the course and passing the college class. I'm not making this up. I mean, we were all like, wait, what? How does this happen? What do? We let them go on. We don't force them to retake the developmental course. Okay, you got an F in it, but go on and take English 1020 because you passed 1010 with a C. Awesome. We can't explain that. Well, I'm going to try to explain it with academic mindset here in a minute. Looking at the math success data, this is even more profound. When they got through the developmental math class, only 17% of them passed the college level math class before implementation. That's sad. We forced them to take an entire semester of a course to get them ready for math, and then only 17% of them that got through that made it. But this is probably what contributed to the cynicism on campus, because we would say, they don't do well. They don't, you know, we force them through this and they don't make it through the college class. And that's why we were so sure when they implemented the Corequisite model that they were going to fail out of college. There's no way. They're proving us wrong, because now 69% of them are passing the college level class. And again, in some cases, they're failing the developmental class. Not all the time, but it's happening occasionally. We didn't change the way we teach the class. We didn't change the way English 1010 was taught. We didn't change the way Math 1530, 1630, 1010, or 1003 were taught. We didn't ask the faculty to do anything different, except the early alerts, sending them to coaches, all this other stuff that we talked about that we were doing. Motlow has been leading the state for 3 years in math. I just put that on the bottom there. We're number 1 in the state. Number 1 out of all the community colleges. We're leading them. We're leading the state in this. So the impacts then. If we didn't change the way we teach the class, we didn't ask the faculty to change the way they teach their class, there has to be something else going on. And I think it's the academic mindset, because it's an immediate shift to the growth mindset. Now, okay, you got a 12 on your ACT. That's not awesome, but you can do this. You can do the college class. You know what? Go ahead and take the class that you want to take. We're going to put you in a learning support class to help you make sure you succeed. You hear how different the message is there? Not, you didn't score well, so you need to take developmental because you're not ready. Which message would you rather hear? Well, you didn't score well, but we're going to let you take the college class, and we're going to support you while you try to brush up your skills and be successful. Our sister institution nearby, Middle Tennessee State University, 4-year institution, they don't let them in if their ACT scores are too low. They have to come to us. And we say, come on in. And it's shifted them to the growth mindset, because now they think, well, maybe I can do this. Motlow's going to let me in and they're going to help me. I've got a coach. I've got support. I've got tutoring. I'm in a learning support class because my score wasn't great, but that's okay. It decreases the time for commitment for degree completion. When we required them to take developmental courses, it would take them a semester or 2 to get ready to take the college courses. That's not going to work for first-time, full-time freshmen getting done in 2 years. We had to ditch that. Circumstances. Like I said, sometimes we do things because it's the right thing to do or it's a good idea. Other times we do it because we have to. We had to do this to make sure they're completing faster. And that helped the students with the finances. Yes, college is free, but they still have to buy books. Remember all those other costs. So this is actually reducing how long they have to fund those finances. It gives the students a sense of belonging. They're not funneled over with the dumb kids. I belong in college. Hey, what class are you taking? Math 1010 and English 1010. They're not having to say to people that don't support them, well, I didn't do so hot on my ACT, so they put me in developmental classes and I'm trying to get those done. Oh, do you mean that's an extension of high school? Wow, you didn't do anything in high school? You see how the message is different and the mindset's different, because they feel like they belong in college now. And that sense of belonging we said in the opening is critical. And all those things I presented to you are based on research. They're not just my ideas. The reasons students leave. Now they have a sense of belonging. They're integrated with students who are college ready. That actually brings them up. They have people in the class that are college ready that are bringing them up. They're not pushed over to the side with a bunch of students who aren't college ready. and feeling like we're not supposed to be here. They now are with the others. With developmental prerequisites, as we said before, they were avoiding collegiate math, avoiding that until the end, and that defeated the purpose. They weren't doing well. And that's another reason we see that data and how profound it is. It increases their confidence. I'm in college. They're letting me take, MTSU wouldn't let me take English 1010. They wouldn't let me in. MTSU doesn't offer developmental prerequisites. You just don't get in to the colleges that don't have developmental requirements. So there's confidence here. Motlow let me in. And I'm going to college. I'm actually doing this. It increases the perceived purpose of coursework. I know why I need to take learning support now. I didn't do so well on the ACT, but it's okay. They're letting me take Math 1010 anyway. I just have to get this learning support class out of the way so that I have the skills I need to move forward. Now they understand why they need to take the learning support class, whereas before they didn't understand. I don't understand. Why I have to pay tuition to take this class that isn't going to give me college credit, and it's going to make me take extra time. There's a disconnect there. We all understand, but you have to make sure your student understands why they're doing what they're doing. And the data shows this is working. It's working. It's working. You can't argue with the data. Now, would I tell you there's not a cynic left on campus? No, we still have some cynics left on campus. Okay. We still have some faculty who are like, we shouldn't be doing this. But the data is showing that it's working. So we're going to go with the data. They're succeeding. So just some final thoughts on student success to kind of wrap it all together is you really have to build a sense of community. Students have to feel like they're part of something, part of people who care about them. Networking, making friends, lifelong relationships, that they're part of a community. So encourage them. You can't do it all. So there's also that aspect of it. As a faculty member, you can get overwhelmed. As a director of anything, you can get overwhelmed, where you think, how am I going to do this? How am I going to pull this off? How do they expect me to help all these students succeed? What am I supposed to do? You don't have to do it all. To the perspective of get them to do group activities in class if you can. Get them to join clubs. Get them to participate in campus activities. We have Fall Festival, International Day. I'm sure you have some day events on campus. You know, it's okay. I'm not saying you have to do this, but extra credit to participate, because what it does for them is it builds connections and they're more likely to stay in college. So the extra credit actually pays off if you want to do it that way, or make it part of the class project for them to do it. Provide academic advising in class. If you finish teaching 10 minutes early, rather than say, all right, go home, how about you say, hey everybody, this is Biology 1110, so registration is going to start soon. Make sure that you sign up for Biology 1120. It's probably part of your major requirement. There's little things you can work in with that last 5 or 10 minutes. Let me pull up the catalog here. Let's look, you know, if you're this major, it's this. Here's the registration deadline. Make sure you get in here. There's a few things you can do with a few minutes in class to keep them propelled in the right direction. Implement service learning projects. If you can work with the community to send them to volunteer as part of their credit or for extra credit, however you want to handle it, to make the course relevant, they're more likely to stay in and see that relevance and succeed in the class. Foster a safe environment for comments and questions. I heard somebody mention it in one of the sessions earlier. The students are afraid to ask questions. In fact, it was Britta. She said she serves as an intermediary because the students are not comfortable asking the instructor a question. So they ask her the question, and she asks the teacher a question, and she gets the answer, and she gives it back to the student. That's awesome that she does that. We want the students to be comfortable asking an instructor a question, though. We should foster an environment where they're okay asking a question even if they think it's a stupid question. And that's hard to do, and that's something the faculty have to, I'm faculty too, I've done it, where you have to just be open. Foster an environment where they don't feel ridiculed, stupid for asking a question, that they're not going to be treated differently. Schedule completion coaches to come to speak to the class. If you know you're going to have a class where it ends 15 minutes early, schedule a coach to come to class. They can say, hey, here's what we have for you guys if you're struggling with this, this, or this. Come to the Student Success Center. You guys have Trio, some other stuff. You could have somebody like that come, speak to them, tell them what's available in terms of resources. Invite librarians to share what resources are available. Writing centers, math labs, tutors, any of those people could come to your class for just a few minutes and tell them, hey, we're here for you. Here's what we have. Here's what we have available. And then finally, facilitate discussions with colleagues about what works. There's nothing better than that. Nothing better than that. To talk to colleagues and say, what are you doing in your class? Man, I had a bad one. And just, most of them failed. What did you do? I know you're teaching biology as well. How did you get your class through it? And just have those discussions. We have team meetings at the Smyrna campus where everybody from all divisions meet. Doesn't matter if you're student affairs, doesn't matter if you're academic affairs, doesn't matter if you're a coach, a faculty member, a janitor at the college. You come to that meeting if you want to. They're not required. And we discuss what's going on campus, and everybody talks about what they're seeing with the students. And that helps us see the big picture, and that helps make sure that we're all going in the right direction together as a group. And there's a lot of value in that, because a lot of times people will be like, oh my God, I didn't even realize you were doing that in financial aid. I didn't realize that was an issue. Well, I'll make sure on my end that I say this to the students when I'm with them. So communicating with each other is going to help push our student success. So with that, I have some acknowledgments. I've got some people listed here. Our data, Ashley Broderick put together. She gave me the data tables. I made the graphs. But if you want to know more about our data specifically, I can share with you what I have. But she's a good resource. And all these people have given me permission to share their contact information. If you want more details about our data, Jenna is our Writing Center coordinator. Andrea is our Learning Support coordinator for reading and writing. Megan McManus, our FYE coordinator. Brian Mitchell is here today. He's our math curriculum chair. He's our learning support director for math. And then Elizabeth White actually developed our FYE course. So if you want more information on that, she has that information. So thank you for your time. Yeah. Yeah. I can take a few questions if there are any. Yep.
So the goal is to get the first time full-time students through their degree in courses.
Right.
How do the extra credit hours of the courses fit in?
That's a very good question. So she's asking, how do we get the first-time full-time freshmen through the 4 semesters when they have to take the co-requisite courses, which is going to add extra coursework, and we would need to encourage them to go above the 12-hour would be one thing. So don't just take the minimum 12 hours. Let's try to have you take some extra hours. We may need to encourage them to take a summer class in between the first and second year too, because we do need to get them to 60 hours. So there's just ways in advising and encouraging and coaching. Am I missing anything, Veronica, that we do? Ah. So for the recording, I think I'll speak it in here. Just at 45 hours, they can do the transfer scholarship to MTSU, and then the Tennessee Promise will allow them to finish that, even if it goes into a 5th semester. So, and we do encourage them to do the summer classes. That's what we were talking about. Does that summarize that well? Okay. Any other questions? Anything else? Yeah.
So how many faculty do you have to add in order to cover the multitude of new sections you had to create? How did you find full classrooms for all of these new sections, et cetera?
That is an excellent question. So she's asking, how do we find enough faculty to cover all these classes, and how do we find space for all these? And the Smyrna campus is extremely overcrowded. And so finding classroom space, let's start with that, was easier at the other campuses because they're not as crowded as the Smyrna campus. The Smyrna campus is extremely, we don't have any room left. We've got a third building we're working on right now, but it won't be done until fall 2019. So we've been very creative. We've created hybrid courses where those classes only meet half the time and the rest of the course is completed online. We've increased our online offerings. Even with the learning support classes, we're offering online versions of the learning support classes. We are teaching classes at 6:30 a.m. We are teaching all the way till 9:30 at night. We are using space outside of the campus. We've had to use night classes at a local high school to try to increase what we can offer. And then I could show you our schedule in Smyrna. It is just full. I mean, every single classroom is full all the time. We hardly even have room to have meetings because every single room is full all the time. So it has been a challenge. Now, in terms of instructors, we have had to hire instructors. So the first wave was adjuncts because, the funding has to catch up for your full time. You can do direct appointment, term, temporary faculty. We did as many of those as we can, but then adjuncts. So we've had adjunct open houses, often where we call people. We'll advertise in the newspaper and on television and say, Thursday night is adjunct open house. Anybody who has a master's degree and would like to teach, please come to the Smyrna campus. We're going to have an open forum. You can fill out an application. You can talk to the dean and the chairs if you want a teacher. So we've had to advertise a lot to get instructors, and it has been a challenge getting those classes staffed. It has been. And then this past fall, we hired 13 tenure track professors. 13 just for the Smyrna campus. That doesn't include the other campuses. And we're going to hire at least 6 or 7 more tenure track positions this fall at the Smyrna campus alone. The other campuses are doing that too. So hiring is the answer to that. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Initially, we just did on ground, and so the online classes, to repeat the question for the camera, because I know you won't be able to hear. She wanted to know if there's a success difference in the on-ground versions of our learning support versus our online versions, on-ground versus online. Initially, I think nearly all of the data that you've seen is on-ground data. The online versions of these courses are fairly recent. And we could look up that data for you if you want to see if there's a success difference between them. I don't know today what that is, but that's something we could talk to Ashley about if you want to know if there's a significant difference in that. Yeah. So Brian's saying it's less than 5% difference between on-ground and online in the math that he's seen so far. So he monitors the data for math kind of in real time. So that's good to know. Yeah. There was another hand, I think, somewhere. Oh, you had the same question. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Well, thank you for your time. I hope this helps you in your endeavors and give you the courage to just jump in like we did into the co-rec models. So, all right. Thank you. Yeah.